Good evening, and welcome to Thursday Night Chat. We are back the Mancunian way. I know Jeff is backstage. I'm going to bring him in a moment. We've got Rich and Xander. We've got a new guest on this evening from the Early Birds podcast called Jeff, who's going to join us in a moment. Hopefully Veta comes on as well shortly. But Rich and Xander, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, good, Martin. Thank you for having us.
Good. I'm just going to bring Jeff in now. Oh.
Gentlemen.
Good evening, Jeff. How are you?
Very well indeed. In tip-top form after yesterday too.
Good. Jeff is obviously part, along with our very own Rich, part of the Early Birds podcast with Pat and Danny. Like I said, go over and give those boys a listen. I think they're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Facebook, a few other places as well. Go and give them a listen. I mean, you don't have to listen to Rich because Rich just basically rinse and repeats everything he says on air. Look at him now. He's live now and he's sorting his furniture out. What are you doing?
That's a bit true, that, Martin, actually. You know, find myself saying the same thing. But it's worse if you say a different thing, like I, say on Early Bits how pleased I was with City, and then say on here I thought we were rubbish, unhappy, everything different.
Very true.
Depends on my mood.
Well, from what I heard the other day, you were getting your Welsh on again, weren't you?
Diane.
No, Rich. No. I'll send Ozzy after you.
Yeah.
Alex, good evening.
Martin Bach.
Sean Foggett is on. Good evening. Muddy Duck. Just going to say a few hellos because there's a lot to talk about, and we only have like an hour for some, an hour and a half for others. So some only have an hour this evening. So we'll just see where we go. So if I do ignore your comments, I do apologise. I'm not. I do appreciate everyone who was in the comments already. Adam Quinn, good evening. Jack, good evening, mate. Xander, out the comments. We didn't tell him the rule, did we, Rich? Sorry, no. We didn't tell him the rule.
If you want to wind Martin up, you go in the comments.
No, you don't.
Good evening, mate. Yeah, I even use my daughter's account as a pseudonym, so he can't notice.
Oh, look, he's here. He's here already.
Burner account.
No, it hasn't stopped raining in Sydney yet. It's still raining.
Where have you been talking to him?
Well, his comments on there. Has it stopped raining in Sydney?
No,
it hasn't stopped raining in Sydney. Sydney, yesterday, it was the wettest year in history.
Yeah,
we've still got 3 months to go.
Hang on, stop. What, try being in Manchester, mate?
I reckon that Sydney this year, Sydney, it rains more in Sydney than Manchester. When they had the Olympic bid, when they had the Olympic bid, one of Manchester's selling points was there's less rain in Manchester than Sydney. The problem was, and this is how Sydney fought it, was that in Sydney it was raining about 100 days a year. And this much in Manchester, less rain was spread over about 310.
Yeah, and freezing cold.
Yeah, and I suspect we're starting to have massive floods again.
Yeah, he's here again with his Jurassic and Triassic jokes again. You be quiet and get yourself your laptop sorted out, so you can get on here. Right, anyway, good evening to Pat and everyone who's in the chat. This evening, what I want to do is, obviously, these three were not on last night. So we'll start off just getting a little bit of reaction on the 5-0 win against FC Copenhagen from last night. So we'll start with you, Rich.
Right, okay. I'll be the miserable one. Everyone else can be cheerful. What a typical Champions League group game. We drop, our two of our best three players. We bring back some half-fit players to get them some game time, and we cruise to a 5-0 win that probably should have been about 10, with the Phantom of the Opera in the goal for them, and even a superpower magic ghost figure in goal, they still couldn't stop us. And we looked great, they looked terrible. It didn't look like we really tried. Champions League group stage wrapped up in one for me.
Anything positive on the night, Rich? Did you enjoy the light show?
I missed the light show.
I mean, just so I know, if anyone's ever been, go over to my Twitter at Horse
I've seen it.
I did record.
I've seen it
because my son asked me to record the pre-match light show. It's got 500,000 views. I have no idea why at the moment. It's on 500,000 views. I have no idea why, but apparently everyone wants to see that. I mean, it'd be great if y'all could get on this channel as well and sort of, subscribe.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I saw it. It was either not shown on Stan or I was still half asleep for most of the first half.
I don't think it was going on TV.
So it was, that one went over my head. I mean, positives. Haaland turns up, scores a few goals. Pep gets amazed. Laporte, for me, Laporte back on the pitch this week in both games is a huge positive because I still think he's our best defender.
Mm-hmm.
The fact we could rest Foden and De Bruyne without any consequence. The fact we had Gomez playing and didn't concede, Gomez and Cancelo together, which I think's high risk against good opposition, but we weren't playing good opposition, so that's fine. So no, I mean there was no real negatives, and we also gave two of our kid fullbacks 35 and 40 minutes or whatever it was. So we gave kids time, which I'm desperate for, and Palmer half a game. So there are lots of positives, but I just think it's a bit like playing our full strength 11 in early games in the Carabao Cup against Cambridge United or something. I don't know. It's just a bit of a formality.
Just to give everyone an update, it's actually now on 716.8 thousand views at the moment. Some people need to stop. Actually, imagine if we watched the game and not a pre-match light show. Just be quite good if people did that. You know what I mean? Jeff, good evening to you, mate. Or good morning to you. You're over in the land of Oz as well. How did you? What were your thoughts on the Champions League drubbing last night?
Well, look, I loved it. I loved seeing Jack Grealish, push into the middle a little bit more and actually have a go, running at defences. I thought he had a great game, and of course the Haaland show just keeps going. What I love is the reaction from people afterwards, including his teammates, saying that all you can do really is laugh, which is true. I mean, he is so good, and the potential to keep doing that to any opposition just makes you laugh. You have to laugh because it's comically easy for him. He's just a machine.
Very, very true. Xander?
I mean, I texted you last night, didn't I? Obviously, before you went live, just my little talking points, and it's just kind of echoing what Jeff and Rich have said. I think Laporte, I said it, didn't I, in the pre-match, Martin? I said I saw him playing the game with very little. I saw it as being easy minutes for him when me and Rita on earlier in the week. And it was, I think, just to get a bit of running in his legs against the team where he wouldn't have to do much running. I think Grealish is in his best form in a City shirt now. I think Jeff's right. Seeing him come a little bit deeper, pick the ball up, turn on the half turn and actually get at defences while we've signed him. And he looked bang at it last night. I thought he was really, granted the opposition gave him the space, a bit like United did on the weekend, but he looked really, really good. I think Gomez looks good going forward, but I think what you said, Martin, I think, or Rich, starting him and Cancelo at the same time against good opposition will be suicide. I
never want to see that against a top team.
No, I think that, bless him, I mean, he's young, so he's got time to learn his craft. And Pep obviously really fancies him in the midfield. I mean, if you think about Zinchenko, who joined us as a midfielder by trade, Gomez has already played in the midfield more than Zinchenko did. I mean, any opportunity that Pep gets, he's putting him straight in there. So he obviously views him as... I actually quite like where our squad's at the minute. Where we brushed on it the other night, where Stones can fill in at right back, Ake can do a job at left back, Gomez at left back can do a job in centre mid. We've got lots of players that can nick positions kind of all over the field, which is good. I thought Palmer looked bang at it again. He looks like he's back at his best before he got his injury last season. He looked really, really promising. And state the obvious, but Haaland is still a freak. I mean, I think the first goal just sums him up, where it's just like, he just knows somehow where to stand, and the ball just, it's like he's that big, he's got his own gravitational pull. The ball just comes towards him, and he knows how to put it in the back of the net. So all in all, good show.
He's channeling Sean Goater for sure.
We are going to talk Haaland in a bit, because from what the latest reports are, to quote Xander's words, he's here for a good time, not a long time.
Xander, is he a heavenly body with magnetism? Is that what he is?
100%. That's what he is. He's omnipotent, he's omnipresent, and he's obviously omniscient, because he knows exactly where the ball's going to come to. So, like I said, my phrase I'm using at the moment is: we sold Jesus and signed God. That's my phrase for him currently. But yeah, Martin's right.
God played for us a few years back, and he wasn't very good.
Right. Okay. I mean, we had a chat last night about the Copenhagen game, and I think we both came to the consensus that it's pretty much job done now, isn't it? Because we shouldn't really be getting beat next week.
Well, it doesn't actually matter. I mean, unless Seville or Copenhagen,
go on, Rick.
We're through already.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a barring disaster, we're through. But I think it's also very important, if we want to continue to make things easier for ourselves, to make sure that we're comfortably top of the group. So we do what we have to do against Copenhagen on the other side. I think we're good. The match, and then, I mean, I was listening the review that you guys were giving with regards to how the players played and the responses based off of criticisms and just being challenged with Pep. I loved every minute of the game. And when we talk about trusting in the players that's going to be needed later in the season, I think that's what Pep is really doing. Like, Pep is putting together these formations that we might be scratching our heads about and be like, why now? But it's for him to build that trust, see what they can handle, and prepare for down the road. And when we talked about this just the other night, Martin, Haaland being subbed at halftime after a brace just is the perfect example of Pep thinking long-term versus now. Like, he's thinking, this is a long season. This is a congested schedule. I'm looking out for all of you. I don't care about these accolades that maybe come, a fourth hat trick for yourself. We're handling business for a long season. And that way, every player knows what they're expected of and can trust the decisions that he's making. You can't feel any favoritism. He's doing it to everybody.
There's no better man manager in the game. I think that's exactly. It's not just the strategic and the inspiring nature of how he improves the players around him, but his man management of a top quality squad with a lot of real top class international players is incredible. The psychology of it. When you sit on the sideline watching and you wonder, what's he going to do about such and such who's sitting on the bench? And he handles it just perfectly. I agree with you. The subbing of Haaland with a brace to his hand, already in the pocket, was genius, because he's going to be hungry when he comes out on the weekend.
Has anyone figured out why he looked peeved off yet?
Well, he probably wanted a hat trick. I mean, we got a penalty.
Why he looked really annoyed when he was at half time.
No, yeah,
he was not happy bunner.
He's a goal machine. Yeah. He wants a hat trick every time he plays.
Yeah,
he almost does it.
And we got a penalty, which he would have taken if he was on the pitch. So he'll.
No, Cancelo wanted that. See, again, I don't know what he showed, but the Cancelo picks the ball up, walks over, says to Mahrez, me, and Mahrez just grabs the ball out.
No way. No, sorry, not happening.
No. You know what, Martin?
The problem is, the problem is if Haaland stays on right in that second half to get his hat trick, and then he gets an injury in the 60th minute, we're all sat here going, "What are we doing? The game was won. Why is he still on the pitch?" So I think substituting him at half time it was 100% the right thing to do.
And you know what? We've all complained, especially me, And I mean, Rich, you know this. How much have we bitched and moaned about no youngsters getting games when we're 3 and 4 now?
All the time.
So last night, we can't have it both ends. You got Cole Palmer, Rico Lewis, Esperand all on.
And I think
started, so
and I think he played, I think played them for different reasons slightly, in that Palmer does need game time because, I think Palmer's looking better and he's starting to
fitted like a glove last night.
Starting to really look like he's in there, and carrying on like that, he's going to find himself ahead of Mahrez in the pecking order on form. But I think Lewis and Esperand was very important because we are probably going to need to play them in the next. We might even need to start them in the next month or two. I wouldn't be massively surprised we don't see one of them start in Copenhagen next week.
Lewis looked really good as well, I thought, when he came on. I thought he looked really composed on the ball.
The only thing on that, I said this to Beta last night, very hard to, and I'm not taking anything away from them because I thought they did well, very hard to judge defensively on those lads when Copenhagen had no even trying to attempt to come forward.
Yeah.
The game was over. They had no even. Yeah, they had nothing about them. So it was nice. Rico Lewis and Esperand got on, but I can't judge them in a defensive manner because they had nothing to do in a defensive manner.
Mm-hmm.
I can say they fitted nicely into the tactics and into the system, and they sprayed the ball around lovely. But defensively, I can't say how good they were because there was nothing to defend.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we know that Pep doesn't take chances. He only puts on the young players when he feels that either the game or in this case the group is safe, and that's understandable. I think we may see some more changes next game round, especially if we're up at halftime.
I mean, we said on the pre-match on Tuesday night or Monday night. He was never starting the kids in that game, because there was a lot of speculation online. So we want to see the kids start. It was always a case of they're coming on in the 60th minute if the game's won. He's never going to take anything for granted. It was win the game, get them off, get the kids on, which is the right way to do it. But it's also a sign of respect for the opposition as well. It's still the Champions League. They're still the champions of their league. So it is the right thing to do and to set the right attitude to the kids. The kids don't want to start in that game thinking, well, boss obviously thinks this is just an easy game and it's a given. Send them on when it's done and right. Now show them what you've got because the other lads have done a great job tonight.
It's a really good point. It's a really good point about respect. If you look at Arsenal right now, this morning, they put on basically a second squad, and I think that's insulting, to any opposition, whether it's Norwegian or whether it's Danish.
Yeah.
Well, I said that to you, Rich. That I don't think the Rags respected us at last weekend. I think their whole team selection was very disrespectful to us. To think they could come and try and play open, expansive football against us on our own patch was suicide by Ten Hag. Absolute suicide. I think he got a bit too cocky and carried away over his 4 wins on the bounce. I think he thought he could stroll in and beat us.
Yeah,
he just got away with it tonight.
It's become pretty clear as well that from last year and from some of the things that came out of the club that City want to win the group, partly because of the draw, but also financially. So, and the bonuses you get with that. So it's pretty clear that we probably will still play. The only chance of us playing a really weakened team will be against Seville if we've beaten Dortmund and Copenhagen and that we've already won the group. And then we might see those kids played.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to leave it there because obviously we are sort of strapped for time. Do you want to do Southampton next or do you want to do Haaland next?
Let's do Southampton next.
Okay. So obviously we've got Southampton on Saturday. We move back to Premier League action. Kyle Walker is definitely out. Pep confirmed that last night. He's out for a while.
Did you see the pictures of
him? He's had a groin operation.
Yeah.
And he's now
a doubt for the World Cup.
Well, yeah, he's going to be out. Phillips is out. It looks like there might not be as many City representatives at the World Cup anymore because it looks like Phillips and Walker are in a major race.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for Walker.
I don't want him to go. I mean, let him rehab back at City for 5 weeks.
Yeah, I feel for Walker because he's just come back from an injury. He had an injury sort of laden season last year. And as we all know with Walker, it takes him 2 or 3 games to get back into the swing of things. And the problem is, he's at the age now where sadly it looks like the injuries are going to beat him on most things.
And I think mentally, the players who don't go, it could be very bad for them mentally. I mean, you know, we think, we'd like them to stay at home and they'll be fit and raring to go. Mm-hmm. They could spend 6 weeks absolutely down in the dumps. And, you know, Walker's already had some challenges in that space. So I think Walker particularly probably needs to go, but he just needs to come back fitter and healthier and happier than he went.
Do we know if that surgery had anything to do with his injuries last season? Do you think they went give it a go, see how you get on, he's just gone, I need an op because
we don't know. Apparently, from what we know, it was a fresh injury from the United game.
It's hard to imagine it's related to the ankles that were a few of his injuries last year.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was a case of he'd started the season and he'd gone, let me give it a go without needing the surgery, because he obviously knew the surgery was going to wipe him out for a couple more months. And I didn't know if he'd tried it and then he'd gone, nah, it's not working.
Yeah.
I need to get
you never know. There's some weird stuff in football. I mean, you'll remember this, Martin, when we had a player, Scottish lad, Paul Ritchie, who used to get all these calf strains.
I'm not that old.
And it was because the way to stop the injury was giving him a mouth guard to wear at night, because it was something to do with his whole being affected by grinding his teeth in tension. Paul Ritchie.
Don't know who you mean, mate. No idea.
Yeah.
Never seen him play. See, you dinosaurs, you just sit there.
Yeah. That long ago.
Anyway,
I'm just checking I've got his name right, because he wasn't that long ago.
Scottish international, bald head.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not that. Right, we'll start with you, mate. Southampton we didn't beat them in the league.
No.
Now, obviously, Southampton so far. It was funny because Pep said in his post-match last night, part of the reason Haaland came off was Southampton, and he did bring up that we didn't beat them in the league last year. That was mentioned, quoted out of his mouth, which tells me, excuse my French here, but that guy is mightily peeved off and pissed off that it's still bugging him that we did not beat them last year.
100%.
So, to me, he wants revenge.
He not only does he want revenge, I think when you have, and it is such an amazing time to be a City fan, because pursuing a chance to win the league for the 3rd time in a row, yes, it's happened once, but it hasn't happened anywhere else. So it's obviously a difficult thing to do. And I think Pep is doing all that he can to keep these players mentally challenged as well, because you can easily be like, 38 games, I don't really have to be up for it. But I think he's finding everything to pull on to have these players play at their very best and to play at their best level. So when he drops that into a press conference, I think it is to trigger those players. Hey, remember, we didn't win against them. I need you guys to right the wrongs of last season. So I think he's doing all that he can. He's the perfect, like Jeff mentioned, he's the perfect manager of players, and he's also like the puppet master with regards to the media and the press conferences, which I enjoy a lot. So it wasn't by accident why you mentioned that. They were, quote unquote, the bogey team for us last year. They're not in the best form, but so that the players don't go in with a relaxed type of attitude, he mentions what happened last season. I think resting Haaland and having him play for this next game is going to show the importance of every game that we're going to be playing in the EPL. I love the attitude. I absolutely love it, because I want to win the league again. I'm greedy. I want to win the league again.
Yeah, no, very, very true. I mean, Southampton manager Ralph Hasenhüttl has admitted he's not surprised by Erling Haaland's amazing start. He said he's not surprising. He's a good player coming into a good team and can be a successful goal scorer. So I think he's kind of expecting he's kind of knowing what to expect on Saturday. So
why is he describing him like we've signed some obscure talent from South America? He's like, yeah, he's a good talent, could be a good goal scorer.
I think the problem is every opposition manager now, the first question they're going to get in any press conference is going to be Haaland.
Yeah.
It's going to be the first question.
How do you stop Haaland?
Yeah. The question is going to be, how do you stop Haaland?
Yeah. And conversely, what Pep is doing is literally indicating that he's going to set him loose. He's going to sick Haaland on Southampton because it's the reverse psychology. While their managers are all telling them, don't talk yourself into being panicked by this man. Pep is saying, I'm going to let him loose. I'm going to give him 45 minutes off. He's hungry, and it's fantastic psychology.
I mean, he plays like he's got a point to prove every single game. When he goes out on the pitch, it's literally like he goes out there to go, no, I am doing it and I'm the best. Every game. His mental attitude is just impeccable.
Well, it's just obsessed with football.
I don't want to let's come away from Haaland a minute.
Yeah, we keep coming back to Haaland.
I want to just sort of concentrate more on that. Everyone's making great points, but we are coming on to the Haaland section in about 15 minutes, and we can sort of go into it then. For me, with Southampton, obviously we've no right back, so for me, is anyone not expecting Cancelo to be playing right back on Saturday at home?
No, it'll be Cancelo.
Is anyone thinking wild card at right back?
It'll be Cancelo or Stones.
If Stones is fit, I wouldn't be that surprised if Stones. I think Stones or Ake will start with Cancelo.
See, to me, I think Ake will play left back.
Yeah, no, that's quite possible. Yeah. But I don't think we'll start Cancelo and Gomez. I think Cancelo starts, and it's whoever.
Well, that's my point that I'm getting to. Yeah. I don't think Sergio Gomez starts.
I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if he does.
I agree.
And I think probably based on last Saturday and based on Stones probably not being fit, it's probably more likely Cancelo and Ake, but I think we'll see Cancelo and Stones as well. As soon as Stones is fit, I think we'll see Cancelo swapping a bit more.
We know he fancies Stones at right back because he's played him there multiple times. So
I think he's looking at other options because he knew about Walker's injuries.
Yeah.
I honestly think Pep's lost faith in Walker on an injury side because of his age.
The problem Walker will have.
You look at Pep. Pep can see problems before there's a problem. He has this really weird sense that he can go, there's something not right here. So what you'll see Pep doing is start testing waters. If you look at that right wing, we've had about 4 or 5 players playing the right wing so far. But the person who keeps popping up there again is Foden. So what he's slowly starting to realise is Foden's the man on the right at the moment. And I think he just tests things in and out. I think that's what it is with Stones because he did it against Real Madrid last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm expecting Akanji back in. I'm expecting probably Diaz or Laporte, and I'm expecting Ake.
I think the problem Walker's got is when you are a player like Walker who has basically his career has been a success because of his physical attributes, when you start losing those, it then turns into, right, where do you fit in? We know he's not the most intelligent defender. He's not a Diaz who is his main strength is more getting short or reading a bit of play and blocking a shot, where he's more recovery runs and covering off mistakes. He's always been allowed to have a mistake in him because it didn't matter because he'd catch the guy up. So I think the minute he loses that step of pace, which is a shame because I love Walker. And I think if it wasn't for his off the pitch, left strides, I think he'd be well up there with our captaincy shout. I think he's a great leader in the dressing room and on the pitch. But unfortunately, I think it's not a good sign, personally.
I mean, Jeff, Rich, Beta, and Xander. To me, it's more intriguing on Saturday because in essence, this is Manchester City's EDS squad we're facing on Saturday.
Yeah.
If you think about it, there's obviously... I'm really looking forward to seeing a Dozer in a proper competitive Premier League game. It's a shame about Lavio. We all know he's injured. I would have loved to have seen him against the Manchester City team in full flow. I really would have done. You've got Banzuno. And who's the other one? Rich, come on.
It's Juan Larios.
There you go.
Perfect.
So you've got to talk like I have with my chesty infection at the minute of Juan quite easily. Am I allowed to say that, by the way, Rich, this year?
Well, he's Spanish, isn't he? So it's...
You're going to because I said Jesus last year.
Portuguese, Spanish.
So
Portuguese, Jesus, Spanish, Jesus.
Yeah. Portuguese, got to get it right. By the way, gentlemen, their manager.
Iberian sophistication, Martin, I'm working on.
Very nice. Very urbane. I'm going to suggest that we call their manager Rafe, out of respect to the British way.
Yeah, no, listen. Totally.
It's now Rafe.
Call him whatever you want, Jeff.
Just call him Voldemort.
Yes, but never late for dinner.
All right, let's put it one way. Have Southampton got any chance because their players will know what to expect a bit more?
No. No.
I mean, straight to the point. No.
Straight to the point.
Zero.
I think we can expect them. We can expect them to make life difficult for us, which they've done. They did that last season, mind you. We have different personnel this year, but I think they're going to make life difficult. Like we mentioned earlier, they've been answering questions. How are you going to deal with Haaland? How are you going to deal with City? If you're going to try, I don't believe that they're going to be brave enough to really play open football. I think they're really going to bunker down, try to prevent us from scoring within the first 10 minutes, which we've been doing as of late. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a compact, cagey, tight marking, try to give no space, defend deep, try to give no space, and we're going to have to just break them down. But I won't give a score prediction because maybe you want to do that later. But
they're on a poor run. They've lost the last three.
Well, they lost everything, right?
They're not.
They beat Chelsea. They beat Chelsea though at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, they beat Chelsea. What I looked at when I was doing my research for the stream is they're not conceding loads of goals. So when they're getting beat, it's like 1-0, 2-1. Yeah. So they're sort of in the game.
But they're 1-0s against teams like Wolves and Everton and things United. Like that. So, yeah, they've been losing to relegation teams, exactly like United. They've lost 4 or 5 of those games to sides who are themselves struggling. They're not good sides. Trouble with Southampton, and this is why predictions of Southampton are a bit lunacy, is they're capable of holding City to no defeats against City in the league last season. They're capable of doing that, but they're capable of conceding 9 goals.
They are
against someone, and that's so they've got a very soft centre if you actually get on top. The 0-0 at the Etihad last year, that could have gone either way.
You loved that game, Rich, as I remember.
It was a game that either side could have won going up to the 93rd minute, and they were, we were robbed of the goal, but they were robbed of Walker being sent off and a penalty. So it was a game that it really went both ways, and that's the thing. Southampton could turn up at the weekend, and we could put 10 goals past them.
I'm sorry, but just exactly what I'm thinking, Rich.
Or they could turn up and they could get a draw, depending on how they play.
Can I just, for anyone who was not here last year on the channel, when we drew 0-0 with Rich, when we drew 0-0 with Southampton at home, I've never seen Rich more excited about a game. It was dead exciting. It could have gone either way. Walker should have gone, this, that, and the other. I was like, Rich, we were crap.
But it was a game with a result in jeopardy, which is quite rare for City nowadays.
Yeah.
We've had it a bit this season with our plans of going 2-0 down to get people all excited over the last, 5-6 months. But apart from that, I thought Southampton was an interesting game.
That is the one thing I will say. We have had moments where we haven't looked great. And one of the comments, Southampton, they play in moments a lot of the time. If they have a couple of good moments, like you said, they've got some explosive players going forward. I would never go into a game and go, it's going to be easy, especially a game that against a team that did what they did to us last year.
And they'll be more confident than most teams coming up against us, in that there'll be players there who know we played them in the league twice last year. And
the thing is with Southampton is they have that in them, but then, like we've said, they also have the 9-0 in them, like what Southampton did to them earlier in the season. Liverpool did to them earlier in the season. They do have that in them where they literally just capitulate. They all just stand there like, what is going on? And you just thump them. I think the opening 30 minutes is going to be quite important in that game. I think if we get one or two passing minutes, I think it could be bad news for them.
There's a mixture here. Jack saying tricky tie, Alex saying won't be surprised if they get a record score. So we're literally 8 to Z here on this game.
That is Southampton. They are a team
going to turn up.
Okay then. This is Vader and Jeff. How Southampton got any chance at all of getting anything out of this game, or is it? Because let's be honest, at the moment they are, I think, the 4th or 5th from bottom. They're not on a good run. They have become what I have noticed, they've become everyone's favourites to be suddenly relegated now recently.
They were mine. They were in my.
Yeah, everyone's got them down for going down. So,
I had them there at the start of the season, to be fair.
Is this a banana skin? Is this City-itis, basically? Vader and Jeff, either of you can start on this. Is this possible City-itis to strike?
Look, I think history tells us that, of course, they've got a chance, and we know they've got moments in them. Yes, that's right. Yes, they can't last 90 minutes. They haven't got 90 minutes of quality in them. If we let our guard down in a couple of moments and make a couple of mistakes, and they play at their absolute best all the way through in those moments, they can sneak a goal or they can keep us out. But realistically, the form that we are in, the fit players that we have in attacking roles, it's the sort of game where we could cop a couple of goals and still win by 7. So realistically, I don't give them a chance. I don't think this is one of those times when they're going to be a banana skin. I think they really should be frightened.
Yeah, I think the players are way too dialed in. I think Pep and what he's talking in the press conference, he's going to make sure that these guys are sharp and not letting anything down. We know us as a club late in the season when we start clicking, but what's happening now is because of the matches happening so frequent, I think we're getting into that groove. We're getting into that rhythm, and I don't think Pep lets the players relax. I think it's not going to be another smashing in terms of performance. I don't believe that'll be the case, but I do think that we handle things professionally. We right the wrongs of last season, and we handle our business. It's going to be exciting to see the starting 11, because the starting 11, they perform to score as soon as we get the ball. Like that's been the motivation. Like we remember Grealish scoring within 50 seconds. We remember just recently within the last 7 minutes or 8 minutes, we've been scoring so early. So I think that's going to be the emphasis, and then we manage things professionally. I don't think Southampton have enough weapons to really hurt us to get a point off of us.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned there about the team. The team is very intriguing to me because they'll be interested. I'm presuming Rodri comes back in because he was on the bench last night. So I'm presuming Rodri's back in, which will presumably, I'm guessing Gundogan will drop to the bench, which I don't think is a bad thing because I think at 31, 32 with a dodgy back, I don't think it's fair that he plays 3 games in a week. I don't think he can manage 3 games in a week at that sort of intensity and level. So,
and not to overlook, but his performance was great. Like, I know it's not showing up, but his performance was great in that role that was asked with Rodri being out. So,
I have no issues with that because I watched him for Germany against England in that number 6 role, and I thought he was exceptional. I thought he rolled back the years. Yeah. He looked to me, Gundogan this year has gone back to the Gundogan that he was when he was prime Gundogan at Dortmund. He's gone back to that player again. He sort of rolled back the years a little bit.
He pulls the strings for Germany. He's literally their leading man now.
Yeah,
the team. I think the team. Honestly, I think the team will be. Pep will have his team for Anfield mapped out. Who he thinks is his strongest 11, because he will play his strongest 11 because he will want to, ensure we don't lose at Liverpool. Yeah, I think he will still see them as big rivals, for the title. So I think a lot of it will be based around who he plays on Saturday. Will probably be closer to the Liverpool 11. I think there'll be some players rested midweek who start at Anfield. So I think that'll be the plan. And I think maybe with Rodri, if he thinks Rodri's starting at Liverpool, then he'll need to give Rodri game either a start Saturday or on Wednesday, not necessarily both. So I think it'll be all about that. And then there'll be 5 or 6 rotated in on Wednesday to rest some key players for Anfield. And it will be about that. And remember, this is our I think we've got quite a few away games coming up. I think we've got Brighton at home later in the month, but we've probably got 3 or 4.
Leicester away, Liverpool away,
Copenhagen away. So this is our this is our home game where we will want to have as easy a game as possible, with the view to the real big game this week being at Liverpool next weekend. And so I think the team will be shaped a lot by who he's intending to play at Anfield.
See, I'm not sure. I can see KDB, Foden. I can see everyone back.
Yeah, but then they might not play against Copenhagen on Wednesday. That's
what I think. The Copenhagen game will be the game where it probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Esperand and Rico Lewis and all them start in Copenhagen. I would even love that as well. Does anyone expect Alvarez on Saturday?
No.
I think he'll start in Copenhagen.
I think unless he thinks Grealish can't hack 3 games in a week and Foden goes over to the left and Alvarez goes on the right. I think that's probably it depends on Grealish. I think Foden's nailed on to start the weekend because he was rested yesterday. Haaland's obviously nailed on, which means there's 1 spot left. It's whether he thinks keep playing Grealish or play Alvarez or Mahrez.
Okay. Well, Alan, he's not being rested. Be a good boy or time out, you will go. And I'll make Rich time me out. It reminds me, I need to make Rich a modern here at some point, mate.
Quick chat on Haaland.
Well, I'm just going to go around score predictions. Xander?
4-0.
I think I've just panicked there. Rich?
2-0.
Jeff?
4-1.
I'm not giving one. They are. You can decline it. Right, you pass.
Wow. 3-1 keeps popping into my head, but they scored that one late. They scored late.
See, the scorelines I keep coming up with. I mean, last night I said 7-0. I'm not joking with it. Going in the ground, as soon as I saw do you know what it is? It's the Haaland factor, which takes us on nicely into the next section of Listen, anyone who's watched this channel for a year or so now knows I don't do arrogant. I don't do. I am a T-Rex, Jurassic Park, City-itis lad. If anything goes wrong, it's us that goes wrong with. But for the first time now, I've never been more confident in games when I see Haaland starting. Haaland just gives me that confidence where I think I just don't. It's like he's one of them players at the minute where I think he gets a chance, the ball's in the net. He just doesn't miss.
Well, did you see the stat? Did you see the stat in the Liverpool game before Haaland played Copenhagen? Nunez had the same amount of shots in that game that Haaland has had all season, and he didn't score a goal. Same amount of shots. That's how crazy. That's how clinical.
Wow.
That's how clinical he is.
Yeah, he is. I mean, which brings us on nicely to the next section. I'm just going through. Everyone's going 3-1, 4-1. I mean, Alan's gone up with 1-0 Southampton. So you can text Rich on Saturday, Alan.
I was tempted to say that myself, but yeah.
Was you?
Yeah.
Yusuf, is that what you really think, or is that what you're praying for? Because you got to remember, mate, you probably want us to beat Southampton so they don't overtake you in the league. Because Southampton are your sort of area at the moment, aren't they?
Southampton are
You've
there.
got a lot to stress about this weekend.
Southampton are the Liverpool Rezzies, so he probably,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, right? Let's move on to the next part. Yes, we're all enjoying Haaland. We're all loving Haaland. But there has been a lot of chatter, a lot of talk about Haaland, like I said earlier on, being here for a good time, not a long time. In the last week, I've seen people comparing him to Aguero, being better than Aguero, more of a legend than Aguero already. Blah, 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 blah. I've also seen today that apparently, I mean, I'll put it on screen for you. It depends what you want to do. I'll stick it on anyway. This is a tweet put out by Mike Keegan earlier, Daily Mail. Apparently, Erling Haaland is being paid close to £900,000 a week due to his basic salary in line with the club's top earners, but his guaranteed bonuses making him the Premier League's top earner on around £900,000 a week. What a load of BS. Anyway, that's a load of garbage. But then there was...
and I don't reckon it is. I reckon that is...
Oh, go on then. Challenge me on it then, Mitch. Why is it not BS?
Because we signed a 150, 200 million player for 50 million. The only reason we did that is if we were paying him extortionate wages, we were giving him a really favourable get-out clause, which meant he was in complete control of his career, or we were paying, 50, 100 million in signing on fees and bonuses. So I've got no doubt that the 400k a week we're paying him, the same as De Bruyne, is an absolutely doctored figure.
De Bruyne's not on 400k, Rich.
I thought he's on about 375 or something.
Yeah, 375.
There is no way that Haaland is not getting $1 million a week from all those signings on and everything else when he's at City. No way. That's just economic fact. That's why we got him for 50 million, not 150. And I suspect he has got a get out clause.
And he's got. Yeah.
He will definitely have a release clause.
He's making a fortune too in endorsements, for example, on cross country skis.
Yes,
he's fine.
Do you know what? You just said it, Jeff. That's probably where the 900 grand comes in. It's probably all his endorsements with outside sponsorships and everything else that probably gets into that figure. Manchester City are not paying him £900,000 a week, even with bonuses. It's not coming out the club's coffers.
I think you will see when our financials come out. But we are easily.
Rich, I'm curious because if it was paid 150 up front, wouldn't that have been going to the club?
Yes, and that's the point. That a football deal, if Haaland was £150 million player, Dortmund would be getting 150 and Haaland would be getting, the rest of whatever we deemed he's worth. Say 300. Say we said he's worth 300 million to City over 5 years. If it was 150 million, he'd get 150 million. Because he's getting 50, Dortmund getting 50, he'll be getting 250. So we will be paying him. There's no way on earth and that we are paying him 375 grand a week. That is City's PR making him so they can say our top paid player is 375. We may have said, the rest of it is a signing on fee, and we've paid him 75 million over 5 seasons signing on fee. We may have claimed its bonuses by offering him you get 10 million if we finish in the top 10 or something like that. But when we see the finances come out, that is what he is worth as a player. You look at any equivalent player, Mbappe is on 1.2 million a year at Paris. There's no way Haaland's taking a third of that. There's no way he's taking less than David De Gea is on at United, or the same as Jadon Sancho. He will be getting the money he is worth. And the only way he won't be getting that money is if we've given a low clause that lets him leave for something stupid like 80 million, which I don't think we do. So he'll be getting it. And we'll probably sign him to.
Can I pick up, Rich, let me pick up on something you just said, which is what he's worth. And I think that comes down to really the point. It almost doesn't matter. As long as we can afford it and we keep winning, we can. Is he worth that kind? Well, of course he is.
Yeah.
He'd be worth that kind of money to anyone who could afford him, is the first point. And the second thing to bring up is how many times in interviews his teammates keep saying he's a humble guy in training, off the field. He wants to learn. He's respectful of the people around him who are presumably earning, a quarter of what he is or a half of what he is, even though they are all international players.
Yeah.
So whatever is going on, he's worth it, and he's not making anything of it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine and it's normal. And if you're one of the best players in the world, you earn like the best players in the world. I mean, that's normal. I think, you have to look at how City behaved in the market this year. City had a massive net transfer inflow. And a lot of the word out of City was that was to address Haaland coming in. Now, that is not because we paid 50 million for Haaland over 5 years, 10 million a year. That is because we paid 50 million. And then whether it's salary or whether it's signing on, there will be another 50 or 100 million on top of that. And that will be going to him. Now, his salary is probably 375k a week, but he will have bonuses and signing on fees and everything else that will make it $1 million. I've got no doubt about that. And we'll see it in our
financials. Challenging you on it, Rich.
Yeah.
He's saying, why should I tell what he's saying is fat, Rich? Do you have any contact with City accountants? Someone in this does.
It's just basic business and common sense. You don't get million a week players for 375k.
Do you want just one minute? Do you want to tell these people what you do as a job, Rich? To maybe explain why you know finance. You don't have to do, just maybe.
Yeah. No, I work as a CFO, so I just think it's economic.
He's a chief financial officer. So
I think it's just economic business, it's just economic reality that however we structure the deal and whatever we say, that Haaland will be getting the maximum he can from his career, and he will trade off money, the wages. There's the signing on and bonuses, and then there's the get out clause. Now, the get out clause meant at Dortmund he accepted far less than he was worth, because when he left Dortmund, he was going to get nearly all the money from the transfer fee. Dortmund only get 50 million. So he basically 150 million player, he goes for 50. That means Haaland gets that 100 million. And the only way he hasn't taken that 100 million from us is if we've given him a get out clause so he can go to his next club and get 200 million. And that's reality. I suspect it's signing on fee.
I just want to say, sorry, Martin. Do you mind before I go? Because I just wanted to just add on that because my laptop is going to die soon. So first thing is bonuses. You're spot on. The rate he's scoring, every player has performance incentives in his contract anyway. So they'll be through the roof at the minute. He'll have goal bonuses. He'll have hat-trick bonuses. He'll have appearance clauses in his contract. He'll have international goals in his contract. He'll have the signing on fees, a great example in there as well and we know how his dad's set up in there too. I think the second part of that is I think he will 100% have a release clause in his contract. I think you can see from his trajectory in his career, from the comments his dad's made, he wants to play at Madrid. He wants to play in Italy. He wants to, he'll probably end up at PSG at some point. He wants to win everything, everywhere, which fair enough. And I think it's going into the relationship with him. It's almost like, it's almost like going out with a girl who you know is too good for you. You know she's going to leave you for an actor at some point. Do you know what I mean? Like she's going to go off and do her thing, but you just appreciate the fact that you're the lucky sod that gets to shag her for the meantime. It's that kind of thing. It's like just smile and wave, enjoy the moment because you know it's not going to last forever. He's here.
Sandy, you just killed every Manchester City fan's dream.
No, but I think it's not being. I think look, if he does stay, I'd love to be proved wrong. If he does 10 years at the club. Fantastic. If we get happily married, have 3 kids, and we have the most attractive looking kids ever, amazing. If he leaves after 3 years, it's a fantastic period in all our lives to have one of the generational players at our club for the time he's here. I think we all get brought into the thing nowadays of that's it now, he's here forever and he's going to be a club legend.
I think that's the thing, Xander.
Yeah.
I think because I've heard talk this week, I know you got to shoot in a minute. I do apologise that Vader has to go. So I want to get Vader's point as well.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk of it. He's bigger than Aguero. He's a club legend like Aguero. And there was also a lot made about the release clause, especially on the Pep interview from last night. The question that went to Pep was, has he got a Real Madrid release clause? The release clause was, is it for Real Madrid?
Yeah.
Pep then said, if you listen to the wording, he doesn't say there was no release clause whatsoever. He says there is no release clause for any club. Specific club.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking there. There is a release clause in the contract because that's what Haaland's representatives wanted. Correct. That was part of the deal to get the guy over the line, was the release clause had to be there. Now, if it's a different subject of does certain things have to be hit or not hit for that release clause to then be activated? Maybe so. Yes. I think it's if we don't win the Champions League or we don't do this, we don't do that, then it can go or not. We don't know. But Vader, should we just enjoy the moment of Haaland now and stop worrying about where he's going to be in the next 2 years?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Because we definitely need to enjoy what we're witnessing on the pitch, what we're seeing from this player that no one's ever seen before. We definitely need to be in the moment with regards to that. But maybe the city in me is like, I just want to guard my heart and not think of him staying here. Because again, think of him staying here and becoming a legend. Like the talks about him surpassing Aguero, I'm sorry. But to use Xander's analogy, we've only gone on 10 dates. I'm not now making you my wife.
Well, stop using the girlfriends and dates as analogies, please.
I'm using Xander's example.
Okay, we've already called him the heavenly body.
Yeah,
with the animal magnetism and the
It's 2022, but I'll say this: the whole thing with knowing that he may not be here as like for 10 years, then you just want to keep that. You want to enjoy, and that's the reason why you want to enjoy him for the moment, because it may not be as long as we may think. So I'm okay with it. The financials, I don't really stress about it as well, because we've seen the board do smart business. If it doesn't make sense, they don't pull the trigger on it. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't done my Why Always Me show this week. I hope to do it tomorrow. But one of the topics that I want to talk about is, I think Haaland might be underpaid. Because we've never seen what he's doing, right? So how do you quantify it? How do you actually put a number to say this is what you're worth? Because we've never seen this many hat tricks. We've never seen this proficiency in terms of scoring. And also, it's almost, what does it mean to us? The cost of things or what we value differs, right? You might see a throwback vintage vehicle and be like, I'll pay anything for that. Whereas someone next to you might be, nah, I'm not into it. We looking at Haaland and what he means to our system and the players and how he fits, it might be priceless for us. So how we value him, what we pay for him, I'm not going to stress over it, because what he's doing is unprecedented. I love it. I'm going to live in the moment. And yeah, let's not worry about tomorrow. Let's enjoy today.
Yeah. Xander, I know you have to shoot, mate, don't you now?
Yeah, so thank you guys. Thanks for having us on. Nice to meet you, Jeff, as well. Good to meet you, Jeff.
Cheers, Xander.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll be
Take
watching.
care, mate. Are you shooting? Are you staying?
I'm shooting. I'm shooting as well. Shooting as well.
Cheers, mate. If you haven't gone over to Beta, get over to Beta Games TV. Absolute legend. Get over and give his channel a subscribe.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Right. I mean, the only reason I'm asking, Jeff and Rich, change the banner, is because there's a quote that's come out. Have you all heard about the Haaland documentary, The Big Decision, that's due out? Or it's come out? It's gone out in, is it Finland or no? It's come out in another country.
Yeah.
And basically, it's a documentary with the whole process of Erling Haaland's decision of joining Manchester City.
I assume it's Norway, you'd think.
I'm telling you the name of the company now. It is basically, the company is called, it's with a company, I've got it up here now. Where is it gone? It's a documentary entitled Haaland, The Big Decision.
Yeah.
And it's got a streaming service called Viaplay. It's a Scandinavian one.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's across Sweden, Norway, and Finland.
Yeah.
And it basically is 4 or 5 months of his decision of joining City.
Yeah.
Now, Haaland does say in that, his dad,
yeah,
by the way, not him, that his plan is to basically stay at a club for 2 or 3 years and then move. So the idea is to be in England for 2 or 3 years, then go to Spain for 2 or 3 years, then go to France for 2 or 3 years, then go to Italy. Because basically he wants to win every league around the world. He doesn't, I don't think. Now listen, do I think that could not change? Do I think that could change? Yes. Because everything was said about, the same was said about Aguero, KDB, David Silva, Vincent Kompany. You got to remember, these were all in Barcelona, Real Madrid, and everywhere else, and they all stayed. Do we think that was just part of a negotiation, or him being a City fan could play a factor in him staying 10 years or so? Because I have seen City fans literally panic now.
I don't think that him being a City fan comes into it, but I think if he's at City and he's achieving what he wants to achieve, as in he's winning, if he wins the Champions League, wins the Premier League, gets or competes closely for the Ballon d'Or, wins trophies, gets goals, has records in the Premier League in his sight, I reckon he wants to keep achieving and keep stretching himself. And honestly, if he thinks City are the best team in the world at the time where he's doing his best and he's happy, I think he'll stay. If he thinks he needs a new challenge or he needs something different, he'll go. But I think it's a bit silly worrying about a player leaving the second we signed him. I mean, any one of our players could go at any, for whatever reason. Cancelo could decide he's off. Foden one day could decide he wants to go and play in the sunshine. I mean, we just don't know. So we just have to keep winning, keep the players as happy as they can be. If Haaland's got a get out clause that we're worried about, offer him a new deal. We could double his wages, and give him an extension. I mean, there's lots of things we can do. And, you know, for anyone to take him, they've got to offer him better opportunity than he has at City. And, you know, and not only have they got to do that, but they've got to pay City, you know, based on, you know, the likely rumours on the clause, probably pay us 200 million, then up his wages, and then offer him a project that's and a chance of winning things and furthering his career that's better than City. So I'm relatively relaxed about it.
Yeah, look, I agree. And I think all that talk about wanting to win everything everywhere, that's a 20-year-old, a 21, even a 22-year-old now talking. That's a young man's ambitions to be the GOAT, right? And he's got every right to think that way as a young guy with the world at his feet. But Richie's point is absolutely true, which is that at some point he's going to say, does it get any better than this? Am I going to play in a better team? Am I going to have anybody giving me the kind of service that the likes of De Bruyne, of Cancelo, Phil Foden, every one of those players that plays in that City team is serving it up for him on a platter. So he's smiling. And if he keeps smiling, where's he going to go where he's going to enjoy his football? And you can see he's a man who enjoys his football. You know, yes, of course, money, management, his father even will tell him, you know, get the best thing you can. Football doesn't last forever. But the truth is, if there's nowhere better to go, it isn't at the moment, why would he go? Comparisons with Aguero are a whole separate story. He's not thinking about having a statue of himself at City at this stage. He's been with us for such a short time. So let's not put the pressure on him.
That's from the fans, that, Jeff. That's from some of the fans.
Of course.
Who have got a bit carried away.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, it's exciting times, as we heard earlier from Vader. You know, we haven't seen anything like this. So the value of him is impossible to come up with. He's unique. There's nothing like him at the moment. Nothing like him that we've seen in these early days. It is early days, so let's not put the pressure on anyone.
Do you know what? I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's for me. I think what it is I think because of City fans. I think because we're watching something. I mean, let's be honest. We never dreamt we'd have a player of this level. I mean, for me, we're talking Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe level of player playing at Manchester City.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit some City fans are pinching themselves that that's actually real and is happening. I mean, we all saw Pep's reaction last night to the goal. Pep was like, wow, I just can't believe this.
Rubbing his hands. Literally.
He's like a kid in a candy shop. The guy's loving it. And it's a bit like, because do you know what I always remember? I remember having this chat last year. Do you remember, Rich? Where we said, do you know what? We wanted Haaland, but that was always the fear of, we know it's not going to be a long stay. And that was what the fear was. We always went, yeah, but we'll buy him for 50 and we'll sell him for 150 and we'll make a bag load of profit. And from a business point, that is magnificent. But then but when he's here, now scoring, doing what he's doing, I think it'll be a lot harder for fans to let that go than what it would. We can all say when we didn't have him, oh, well, we'll get him for 3 years and we'll sell him on and get a profit. Now he's here doing it. It's like that kid who wants that toy desperately. I want that toy because my mate's got it. He gets the toy, and then he said, "Right, we need to take that toy back off you now."
But you know, it's also the old man City inferiority complex. Just historically sitting back there, do we deserve this? Do we really deserve this? Something's going to go wrong. You know, enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If a player is really happy, they're achieving everything they want to, they're getting paid the best, and all those things, they're not going to move. Why would they? It's exactly the same happened with Aguero. You know, everyone thought, and maybe Kuhn thought when he joined us, that he was signing for City as a way for signing for Real Madrid because Atletico won't sell to Real Madrid. Lots of City fans thought that. Even some of the comments from Kuhn's agent and things like that early on implied that was happening. But when he was at City, he realised that, you know, he was loving life. He was earning as much money. He was, and so when it came down to it, Real Madrid's appetite was never enough to offer City or him anywhere near enough to make him change. And, I think that with the Premier League money as well, and the Premier League profile around the world, if we get to a place where we win the Champions League with Haaland, why would he go from the Champions of Europe to a team they beat in that and in a much less watched league? Yes, he's got there's the history of the club, but we all forget, history gets redefined every 5 or 10 years by whoever's in charge of history at that time. Will he want to go, or will he think, well, actually, maybe I'll do 5 years here and then I'll go, or maybe I'll do 6 years here? Will he think, I could play at City till I'm 28, break some records in the Premier League?
That was the fun part of it. That's the fun part of him that I think might take over. And by the way, I get what blew out and muddied up. I'm not saying I'm not the one panicking. Nobody here is panicking. We're only mentioning it because it's come up now in the media.
Yeah, because every other club is panicking, and
every other club
media wants.
These are quotes from his dad. It's his dad.
He's ruining the Premier League. Oh, he's ruining the Premier League. The quicker he goes, the better. Yeah, well, another club would say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's only. This is from his dad. These are quotes from his dad in a documentary. That was why it's been mentioned, and obviously the release clause. This is why. But I'll say, I think any top player in the world has to have a release clause anyway, so it doesn't really matter for me. I honestly think, I'll be honest with you, if he's here, he's here. If he's not, he's not. We enjoy him for while we got him. That could be 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. Because I'll tell you what, I mean, I've said the same about Pep. Enjoy it while it is. Don't worry about him when he's not here. Just enjoy it while it is. Because you'll never see this kind of football ever again. As a Manchester City fan, you'll never, ever see this period of dominance. This is dominance. This is beautiful, world-class football. If you'd have said to me in 1999, by the way, you're going to see Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva and Aguero, some of them were probably even born by then, or they were little kids. So, I'd have turned around and laughed at you. So
hey, boys, think of this. We could have ended up with Harry Kane.
That was exactly. Do you know what? That was the other thing I saw. It makes it mad how you think about it, and you think, Harry Kane, and we've got Haaland. I know what Rich is saying about the money, but on paper, he's a cheaper deal.
The business has been done so brilliantly. There's no complaints. Hey, and we could have had Fred at some point. And look, we've got Rodri. There's a whole lot of could have beens that have been managed really well. Very, very few failures in the last 10, 15 years. The only other thing I'll say about Haaland, and I love hearing the teammates saying that he's great. He's great off the field. He's humble. He wants to learn. He's no trouble at these wages, these goals, all the media attention. He is not. There is no trouble in the dressing room, right? And that's also credit to Pep and his man management. And again, it's early days, but we've got a 22-year-old, with all that potential to play. He's already doing it now, straight off, first game, hat-tricks, goals, everything. He's a good guy in the dressing room. There's no trouble. And some other teams, not to be mentioned, have got guys 15 years older who are just trouble, shaking their heads on the bench. So, it's all positive. It's all positive.
And I'd say one thing about this, I know everyone's getting antsy about this 900K. We are far better off if we are paying him that than if we are paying him 400, because he is far harder to get away from City and far more likely to stay for longer if he's getting in that total deal what he's truly worth than if we're underpaying him. So I actually think City fans should be far more worried if we are massively underpaying him what he's worth than if we are paying him, because he is a much cheaper player to get out of City if we're only paying him $375K a week. and he is much more likely to become unsettled if we are only paying him £375k a week. So everyone should be hoping that what Mike Keegan has said is true, and that's what his package is worth, because if it is, he's far more likely to stay at City. Real Madrid pulled out of the deal with, or failed to match Paris's deal with Mbappe because they wouldn't go that high. And if we are paying Haaland what he's worth, we make that deal much, much, much harder for anyone else. So I think people should stop worrying about that. That's just a media narrative. City playing games with the media, you know, saying what an amazing deals we've got to make a point about how financially secure we are, and the media on behalf of the other clubs trying to use that to unsettle a player or upset Kev or something. I think it's just all media nonsense. We'll be paying him what he's worth, and hopefully that's true, because then he's much more likely to stay with us.
You don't end up in a Mo Salah situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I suspect, I suspect that's why we sold so many players this year, because maybe we paid it up front as part of a signing on fee, and that was done so that we could put him on parity on wages and say everything in the press. And good honours, sensible stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? Our owners are sensible. Blue Art, listen, I know what you're saying. I think a lot of this Blue Art has come out from this documentary that's coming out. Now, the problem is with the documentary is it's not come out in England yet, unless people have watched it on a VPN. And by the way, do understand Scandinavian, because I think it's subtitled in Scandinavian as well. So a lot of it is come out from this documentary about the big decision. And you've got to remember, a lot of these quotes from his dad were probably said, 4 months ago? 5 months ago? Because I know in the documentary, he says Manchester City was number one, and everyone thought Real Madrid was number two. It was actually Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich were the second choice, not Real Madrid. Real Madrid were third choice. And then it was PSG. So I think we've got to realise is that we can only go off what we can go off. But for me, Haaland excites me. I don't see us losing every time I see him play. I think he'll smash every goal scoring record that possibly is in this league. And at the end of the day, if he's on 900 grand, $1 million, 2 million, 30 grand, I don't care, because it doesn't bother me. Unless say, it sounds awful this, but I ain't putting my hand in my pocket and paying him. I mean, I am in a way with my season ticket money, but you know what I mean. I'm not. None of us are really paying. I think some of us get too delved into all the. I mean, Rich though, because that's Rich's job. Rich loves that sort of thing, to sort of delve into it all. But little old me, school teacher, I'm not. Don't bother me. In terms of that sort of thing. But anyway, I mean, I just think we have to enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy him, because I'll tell you what, 6 months ago, none of us thought he was even going to be here. Let's be honest, some of us were thinking it's off to Real Madrid.
Absolutely. I think...
Let's enjoy him.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy him. And let's go and get Bellingham as well, and Boyle more piss at the other end. We'll get his best mate to come and join him as well.
Yeah, and again, if he's playing with the players around him he wants to be playing with, why would he go? And that's the thing. I think this is just media beat up. We need to stop worrying about it.
Yeah, we never had these issues with Bob Taylor, you know.
Yeah.
Big fat Bob never had this issue, did he? Come on now. City won't be mugged. Don't remember Martin Buster Phillips having all this. Why would everyone
we had it with Haaland, though. I mean, not with Haaland. We had it with Aguero. We had it with Silva. We've had it with Bernardo the last 3 summers. I mean, it's just inevitable. And the next one that we're getting in the papers every day now is Cancelo. Who they're writing is going to Madrid in the summer. But that's always going to be the way. If you've got great players, everyone wants them.
Blue Art, I love you, mate. I know you're not. Blue Art's thinking more out loud sometimes. I love Blue Art. Don't you worry, mate. You can. This is what we like, a debate. We don't mind a debate. Premier League is best in Champions League by far. I was just saying a lot of the quotes we were talking about was from his own dad. I'm going to bang on all year about Jude. Listen, Jude Bellingham.
He is all class. Another young talent. Another 10 years in him, no problem.
Sorry, I think my internet is going funny, so we're going.
Yeah, no, you did that. Yeah, no, I'm hoping that we get Jude Bellingham. I think we're recycling our squad from a whole series of older generation players who have gone over the last few years, and I think we need to address that attacking midfield next, and start planning for when. If Bernardo goes, when Gundogan's playing fewer games, ultimately in a couple of seasons, De Bruyne's going to be winding down a bit. So we need some, we're going to need some energy and some youth in attacking midfield. So I think that's going to be our focus. I think we've addressed up front, we've addressed defence. I think we'll need a fullback and we'll need some attacking midfielders coming in the next, couple of 2 or 3 windows.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there because my Virgin is about to cut. I did say yesterday we're having engineers outside the house today. They're doing some work on the road outside and they've now decided they're going to. I was hoping to get to, I thought it wasn't going to happen until 11 o'clock, but it looks like they've started early because my Wi-Fi is going all weird. Aussie's on. Evening, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Aussie will be back during the week. He's been busy. He's been working this evening. Big thank you to Rich. You've been on as normal, mate. Thank you. Hello. Can you
I was just doing a nod of the head. Acknowledgement, but
I don't know whether it's my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no, sorry, no, it was me. I was just going.
No, and
but
again,
it's rodents on your cables, Martin. They're just. Is
that what it is? Big thank you to Jeff from the Early Birds, who's been amazing this evening on his debut show, and I hope he comes back in again.
My pleasure. My pleasure, guys.
And if you do want to hear more from Jeff, I don't know if you want to hear more from Rich though, but you can catch them over on the Early Bird podcast over on Spotify, SoundCloud, Facebook, Tinder, all sorts of things.
We need Martin. It's all getting a bit cheerful and happy on here. We need a Walker Peters last minute winner. We need Alan to be right, get everything back down to earth, get a bit of ranting and misery back. It's all getting a bit cheery at the moment.
Do you know what we need? We need a Rich rant next week or the week after, Rich.
Yeah, well, I'll rant about it being all too bloody cheerful.
We need a Rich rant, don't we?
Happy do and everything else, yeah.
We're going to
put your angry face on, Rich. Put your angry face on.
If we win easily this Saturday, I'll have a rant about farmers leagues and
they're all loving that image behind you, Jeff.
Oh, good. 1968-69 season, I'm going to tell you, and you can come back to us for the next program and say who the players are. They're a bit stretched.
There you go. And you all call me and Rich dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, we are.
I love that image. That image is amazing.
But you've got to remember, Martin, there's Jurassic dinosaurs, and then there's Cretaceous dinosaurs, and then there's there's all sorts of different dinosaurs. We can always widen our dinosaur,
Yeah, Jeff, the Viking warrior.
But Jeff's Jeff's a happy dinosaur. So he goes back to happy times. So there's a whole generation of dinosaurs.
We're going to end up putting in a minute. My Wi-Fi is getting worse here. We're going to end up just cutting short in a minute, I'm telling you. Life is not the same without a rich rant. I do apologise. I'm not trying to be rude and cut these amazing gentlemen off. I'm just flickering and getting warning signs on my Wi-Fi all over here. Right, I'm going to say good night. Thank you all for joining us. Give it a like. Hit that subscribe button. There won't be a news in 10 in the morning because I probably won't have Wi-Fi, so I can't set up and record and post it or anything. So, but we will be back Saturday for the post-match Southampton game. I promise you, we will be back for that one. Hopefully, Rich will be back for that one. Ozzy, hopefully, will be back for that one. And we'll see who else we can get on for it as well. Ozzy, be quiet. He's being cheeky, Rich. Have a word with him.
Yeah, can I just say, I'm just going to give Ozzy a grammar lesson here, but we need fewer dinosaurs, not less dinosaurs.
On that note, good night. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely evening. We'll be back Saturday evening for post-match City Southampton. Take care.
City.